Welcome back once more to the Neil Oliver Show, where my next guest is American entrepreneur Jennifer Arcuri. Welcome to the show, Jennifer. How are you doing?
Hi, Neil. How are you?
I'm very well.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. I've just been talking to German economist Richard Werner about the reality of money, about where money comes from, about the power that control of money gives to bankers and central bankers in particular. But within that area, cryptocurrency, alternatives to cash, you have very strong opinions about Bitcoin in particular, do you not? Can you illustrate to me why that is so?
Well, first of all, I love that you're having this conversation. It's really great to see it take mainstream television. It is important. I know a lot of people are concerned about their money, and I think basically it comes back to a very basic fundamental of the life cycles of currencies. And as we're seeing now, this life cycle is coming to an end, this currency. And as history has shown us many years before, we'll always reset back to gold. It will never be Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not scalable. Bitcoin cannot take on the traffic and this whole idea that it's some, value, store of value or digital gold. I know there's a lot of Bitcoin maxis out there that will hate me for saying this, but that just simply is not true. There is no intrinsic value of Bitcoin. I'm a very pro advocate for digital assets in the crypto space. I am extremely pro blockchain, but never Bitcoin. I believe Bitcoin is being used as a trap, another Trojan horse. And as you and I have mentioned many times, I see them manipulating the prices of gold and silver to particularly keep the nominal price down so that banks have the ability to buy in and at these low manipulated prices. And then as you've seen the years of the narrative shift on Bitcoin, Bitcoin's a beta. Bitcoin was introduced after the last, 2008 crash. So then we bring in this exercise of digital currency. And at first it was the drug users and the cartel, and now they're picking it up and bringing it into mainstream. And a lot of people bought into the concept that it was outside the system. Neil, you and I know that's just simply not true. It's completely inside the system. When they created a Bitcoin ETF, they created an ability to short the market. They now are controlling the system.
Jennifer, can you explain?
So there's many myths around Bitcoin.
Can you explain to my audience why Bitcoin continues to reach the values that it does? I remember it coming in and a Bitcoin was worth whatever, less than $1. I haven't looked at it in the last 10 minutes, but I've seen it recently up at around $60,000 for a single Bitcoin. How can that scale of fluctuation be possible?
So I know a lot of people, because of my Bitcoin doubts, will try to make out that I don't understand what I'm talking about. But the time to buy in on Bitcoin was 10 years ago, Neil, not now. 10 years ago when you were able to build the rig yourself and build it. Now it's just too expensive. It's costly and labor intensive. There's no incentive for these validators, for the people running the network to be rewarded, especially after this recent Bitcoin halving. And as it continues to have, there'll be less and less incentive for it to be mined. So proof of stake, proof of work doesn't work. I mean, what we're seeing here, where they're trying to create Bitcoin out of nothing and then now create a value around it. I believe this is a narrative, a very concerted narrative here to push the plebs into this digital currency, which will be regulated, as we're seeing with the Ripple case coming on. And right now it's the XRP Vegas event going on. Shout out to everybody out there. They're creating an XRP Unleashed film that will be produced that is going to document the corruption that's been going on with the SEC and the free passes for Ethereum and how they allow one set of rules for one currency and another set of rules for another. But this fiat currency, the bottom line here, Neil, is fiat's coming to an end, and they're going to look for other ways to create liquidity. And that's why you're seeing the price of Bitcoin do what it's doing. It's creating this FOMO effect where everybody's jumping in, feeling that they're going to become millionaires, when the reality is the time to buy Bitcoin was 10 years ago.
Hold on, Jennifer.
And I know that for a fact. I mean, we were buying it and mining it then.
But
now we're coming into a place of regulation. I mean, even if you did continue this, the mining and building out the proof of work, this scalable consensus protocol that Bitcoin runs on is never going to be an optimal world currency. It's not going to be what people use on a daily basis. It's not a store of value because there's no value to it. It's a bunch of pump and dump.
Hold that thought, Jennifer Arcuri. Andrew Eborn, do you have FOMO? Do you have fear of missing out on Bitcoin, or are you glad that ship sailed with that?
I think as soon as I was hearing Jennifer speak, and you were asking, well, what is this explanation for these crazy valuation? They are crazy. FOMO, fear of missing out, is what drove it. Because people want to, they hear everybody say we're multimillionaires for doing nothing overnight. That sort of greed factor. But I think, as I always like to do, is break down the jargon, because a lot of people will be watching here and say, well, we don't really understand what is a Bitcoin. And I think whoever better than Jennifer just to explain in simple terms what it is.
Jennifer, just a quick, almost a yes or no answer. Do you think that Bitcoin was always brought in, was always going to be a trap? Or do you think there was an earlier period where it might have been something else entirely? Or was it simply created, as you say, as a Trojan horse or as a trap for the gullible?
Well, it was created after the last financial crisis. So I absolutely believe it was an exercise, a beta exercise to get people in. And ultimately, knowing that we are coming to the end of this life cycle of a fiat currency, what better way to shovel the plebs into the paddocks of Bitcoin? Look over here while we do this. There's nothing that's going to replace physical gold and silver. Centuries have shown us this. And as far as what is Bitcoin? Well, everyone talks about it being this decentralized currency. That's actually a misconception. It's a software that is centralized under a foundation, and it determines if Bitcoin has needs improvement protocols known as BIPs, and they're adapted under this software. So the individuals make the changes to how this software works. And this goes back to the mining, because now that we've been mining 10, 15 years, the rewards are just not there. And it's too costly and expensive, the electronic overhead to run these mines. So there's really no point in running this. So this mathematical protocol, this equation that people are looking in as a store of value, this piece of digital gold, well, that's just not true.
Jennifer
Nothing
Arcuri,
is going to replace real gold.
I'll have to jump in there just because I've run out of time. And it's not decentralized. This is another myth, just wanting to make this clear. I mean, it's becoming more and more centralized every day. We see this with the Bitcoin ETF. The minute they created that, they created a market to short, or a product to short in the market. And that's Jennifer,
what we're seeing.
I just need to jump in, just purely because I'm running out of time. Once again, you have frightened me about Bitcoin. I go through highs and lows, but once again, you have put the fear of God into me concerning Bitcoin.